Once a month, Paula Pant, host of the Afford Anything podcast, answers voicemail questions the listeners send in. Here's one now.
Hi, Paula. This is Erin. I've been listening to your show for a while. It's excellent. It's a good mix between the serious and I still can laugh. I have a question for you. I'm looking into buying a car. I'm relocating from DC to California, which means I'll need to have a car to get to work and to make finding a apartment more affordable with having more options because I can drive. The question is, I'm looking for an SUV, small, not large. I realize that's a personal preference, but I'm just wondering in terms of pure financial aspect, what is the best route to buy a car? I always hear you shouldn't lease. I hear the only way car dealerships make money is by financing. I technically can afford to buy one outright, and I'm just wondering, I'm a total car newbie. Do I show up with a check? How do I actually make the purchase? And from a pure financial standpoint, what is the best way to do it? Thanks. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Erin, and congratulations on moving to California. Never buy a new car. That's the number one rule of making a smart financial decision about car buying. Don't buy new. That's like setting your money on fire. The newest car that I've ever bought was a 5-year-old Honda Civic, and I felt guilty about buying something that was that new. I was like, 5 years old? What am I, Paris Hilton? Why don't I just buy some diamond-encrusted sunglasses while I'm at it? And you're absolutely correct. Don't lease a car. I typically like to avoid dealerships. I kind of call them stealerships. But every now and again, you might get a good deal from there. The best deals typically that you're going to find are private party used, which you can find on Craigslist or various other websites. But if you are going to negotiate with car sellers, whether it's private party or some dealerships, or wherever you're going to negotiate, the best way to do so typically is online. Email is your best friend when you are negotiating buying a car. A big part of the reason for that is that salespeople at a dealership can't pull the same type of high-pressure tactics that they could in person or even on the phone if you're negotiating by email or negotiating online. They can't wring their hands or call in the manager or play good cop, bad cop. And likewise, you yourself have a little bit less of that sunk cost feeling. You know, you don't feel like, well, I've already spent an hour and a half, like I drove all the way out here. Let's just get it done. Typically, you're going to get the best deals if you negotiate with a bunch of different sellers by email and just continue to do that. Now, there are 4 points that, and I'm saying this for the sake of any listener who also has the same question. Typically, dealers will negotiate 4 points: the price of the vehicle, the down payment, the monthly payments, and the value of the trade-in. Now, in your particular case, Erin, the good news is that you only have to think about one of those 4 points because you can afford to pay cash and you don't have a trade-in. So literally the only thing that you're negotiating is the price of the vehicle. That makes your job a lot simpler. For the sake of anybody else who's listening who might be in a different situation, if you are negotiating with a dealer, negotiate on all 4 of these as separate points and don't let the seller tell you that the outcome of any one of these affects the outcome of the other. And as a related note, for the sake of anybody else who's listening who may be financing a car, look for financing, if you must finance, look for financing from a credit union or a local community bank because they will often give you much better deals than a dealership would. And if nothing else, as long as you have that offer in hand, like an offer from a credit union, you can always email a copy of that to the dealer and say, hey, this is the best financing offer that I've got. Can you beat this? Because heck, worst they can say is no, and maybe they can. Remember, you do not have to take a dealer's financing, so that's a related note. Now, as far as the actual purchase of the vehicle, Erin, in terms of what you should look out for, and by the way, there's a book called Secrets of Power Negotiating by Roger Dawson. If you've got the time, it's worth reading that book. I'll link to it in the show notes, affordanything.com/episode 67. That's a fantastic book to learn just the basics of how to negotiate in any situation, whether it's with a car seller or with an employer. So check that out if you've got some time to do so. Now, in terms of actually checking out the car itself, there are 2 things that I always do. One is I run a Kelley Blue Book report. That's kbb.com. I'll link to it in the show notes. by running that report, you can see the value of that car given its condition in any given particular zip code. So you can check out what cars of a given make and model and year are valued at, if they're in good condition or excellent condition or fair condition in wherever part of the country that you're living in. So check that out so that you have a ballpark of roughly what that car should be worth. Also, pull a Carfax report in order to see the history of the car. You'll be able to see if it's been in any accidents. You'll be able to see a lot of its maintenance history. So always check those two things. And finally, and this is something that not a lot of people do, but I think it's invaluable. Once you have decided the general make, model, and year of the car that you are interested in buying, check out forums, online forums that are dedicated to that particular make, model, and generation. And when I say generation of car or an era of a car, I'm referring to roughly a 4-year-ish window of a particular type of car. So, I drive a 2008 Honda Civic. So, as an example, I would then just look for online forums. If I were buying that car today, I would look for online forums of other owners of Honda Civics who have cars from roughly that same ballpark era. And what I would do is I'd read through those forums and look for common problems that come up. Because there are certain problems that just a particular type of car made at a particular time just seems to commonly have. When you're checking out the car, you'll know specifically what red flags to look out for. This is something not a lot of people do, and I don't understand why, because it's such a good way to be able to get an idea of what you're headed in for. So good luck, Aaron. Congratulations on your move, and I'm excited for this new life on this new coast. Thanks.
Hey, did you enjoy this excerpt from the Afford Anything podcast? Then click to download our free ebook, Escape. You'll be taken to a page where you can enter your email for immediate access to everything you need to know about escaping the 9-to-5 grind to live life on your terms. And you can also subscribe with one simple click to get alerted when new videos are uploaded.